Hey, I want to show you a chart here. This is on zero. I saw this over the weekend. It's on Zero Hedge, but it's a chart posted by QTR Research, which is quote the Raven. Some guy, I forget his name. He's a fairly well-known guy. He has a podcast that let's just say every other word starts with F and it rhymes with pickup truck. He's really pretty. A lot of curse words in there, so I'm not recommending that people listen to the podcast for that specific reason. Sharp guy, he's got great guests on and stuff like that. But I like some of the stuff that this guy posts, and this is one chart that he posted in Zero Hedge the other day. I think it was you can see it's on February 21st. About the coronavirus, and it's a 40-second long video, and I'm just going to kind of let it go, and I'm sure I'll probably narrate a little bit because I can't help it. But this is what you got to be, excuse me. This is what you got to be looking at here. This is the MERS virus or whatever. This is swine flu. This is the coronavirus that we're dealing with now. This is SARS. And then this is Ebola. You know, that's the stuff that all the movies are made of. On day 4 since the outbreak, so you can see like MERS, wasn't that big a deal. Swine flu certainly was. Then coronavirus, thanks to our good friends, the Chinese, of course, it's up big time. And then magically it's like, hey, we got no issues whatsoever. SARS kept going. And then, of course, Ebola was the worst. So if we just watch and see how this unfolds, watch and see what happens. We'll just kind of start it from the beginning because it's actually pretty interesting how this plays out. Okay, here, maybe this will get it. So watch what happens here. SARS goes up. We're in day 7, day 8. Coronavirus, no big deal. Now watch what's going on. Oh, there goes SARS. Wow, that's horrible. Ebola, coronavirus, not a big deal. Uh-oh, and we got a new winner. And that, my friends, is a problem. We'll just leave it there. But this was the most graphic illustration that I've ever seen as far as why this is kind of a big deal. And also, think about it, why public officials are playing this down. Because, as I've said before, like I think this was a bioweapon that got out of hand. Just a personal feeling. I've read a few articles about it here and there, but I'm not a real conspiracy guy. I do believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, so I'm not that kind of guy. But it just makes all the sense in the world to me based on the way these governments are acting. Nobody wants to tick off China by saying, hey, what happened? It seems to me like you were kind of doing something that you weren't supposed to be doing. So nobody wants to piss off China. You don't want to come off as a racist either because these days that's fashionable. You don't want to panic the citizenry, such as like what would happen if there really were UFOs. Everybody would be freaking out. We've seen this in Armageddon, right? So the bottom line is, or not Armageddon, but Independence Day. The bottom line is this is a pretty serious thing, and the fact that everybody's downplaying it on the government side, all governments, is frankly more indication to me that it's something bigger. So the only reason I'm pointing this out is because I think it's important for you to understand that the market truly, what you're hearing from our quote authorities, and even from market bigwigs, so to speak, if there is such a thing, what you're hearing is not really consistent with the facts. And again, I'm not here to start to scare anybody. I mean, it is what it is. And I don't know any more than these other people. I'm sure I actually know less, but I do know this. They don't know as much as they're trying to make you believe they do. So whether it's our president or somebody else saying, hey, it's not that big a deal, they've got it under control, just beware of this chart. This is a unique thing. This is a really different, it's a really different thing. And back here, sure, it wasn't a big deal. Oh, it's not as big as SARS, well, that was a few weeks ago, right? But as we move up here, we see that suddenly, like, boom, this thing is taken off into outer space. I mean, this would make Elon Musk proud, the way this thing is going into orbit. So just be careful about being complacent on this stuff. Look at the charts. Look at the charts of your stocks and let those dictate what you do and what you don't do. And I want you to think about it this way. This is an important thing. If you can't find a good entry on a stock, then you can't find a good trade. It starts with the entry. And the reason I came into Monday with about 4 very small stock positions. That's it. And then some nugget, which I kind of traded out of. The reason I came in on Monday with so few stock positions wasn't because I was afraid that the market was going to sell off, that I thought on Friday or Thursday, oh my gosh, we're going to get a big sell-off. I mean, I have been waiting for this type thing because I knew that that traders were underappreciating the gravity of the coronavirus thing. But that doesn't make me smart. Gobs of people are waiting for that. They just don't know what the timing is. When is that going to happen? But at some point, people are going to wake up and say, what the heck is going on? What am I doing here? And that happened today. But the reason that I came in so lightly invested in my trading account had nothing to do with prediction. I couldn't find anything to buy. I couldn't find anything that met my parameters for getting in, for taking a low-risk entry point on a really good setup. I couldn't find any setups. All the good stocks had setups a month or two ago, and now they're not that good anymore. They're just stocks that have run too far. And so if you're pretty new to trading, hopefully this is kind of an epiphany for you. If there's one thing that you've got to think about, just one thing, think about entries. There's position sizing, stop losses, stuff like that. There's all that stuff that's really, really important too. I'm not saying that entries are the most important thing. I'm saying that they're the first thing. They're the first thing. If you don't have a good entry, and listen to me, this is important. If you don't have a good entry on a stock, then where you put your stop, what your position size is, where your anticipated exit is, for a profit, none of that matters. Because you don't get to that part of the analysis until you have a good entry. And I'm not going to talk about exactly what a good entry is here in this video. I've published a ton of stuff on that, and it's all in the library on the website. A ton of that stuff. You can easily find out what I'm talking about with respect to a good entry. But what I'm talking about here is essentially kind of market timing. The way you would have been able to time this market as, with respect to coming into the day very lightly invested or maybe even all in cash, had nothing to do with the powers of prediction. Nothing. There's no such thing as market timing here. It's just, I can't find anything to buy. So I'm not going to lower my standards. I guess I'll just sit in cash and wait for things to set up. And then magically you come into today and you go, oh, well, now I know why I couldn't find anything to buy. It's a darn good thing I didn't lower my standards. So anyway, that's all I got to say on this. But these charts, man, don't they tell you a lot about what's really going on? And you're not going to hear that from CNN, Fox, CNBC, whatever the MS, LSD, all of that stuff. You're not going to hear this kind of stuff. Everybody wants to either be political or they want to calm you down and help you think that it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Now, it's not necessarily fatal, it's in fact not at all. The vast majority of people recover from this thing, but that's not the point. The point is, this is a growing issue, and we don't know the extent of it, but we sure do see a lot of empty streets in China, and probably a lot of empty berths on cruise ships. So that smacks of a sluggish economy. So this chart matters. And so does a sluggish economy matter to the stock market. I think we're finally catching up to what's going on here. So anyway, that's all I got for you, and I hope it helps.